Last night, we told you about a 9-year-old Indiana boy who apparently was doing some very shocking things, so much so that exorcism was involved. The Indianapolis Star, that state's biggest newspaper, is heavily covering the story, and a captain in the Gary, Indiana Police Force, Charles Austin, says the situation is credible. That is incredible. Joining us now from Chicago, Father Michael Maginot, Catholic priest, who has been dealing with the situation. So, Father, I want to keep this fact-based. What you know, what you saw, what you did. Let's start with the boy. What do you know about him?
Actually, I have never met any of the children. The first time I heard about the incident was when, just after the boy walked up the wall backwards. There was a furor there, people running out, calling for the police, security, the chaplain. He called me. I was in my parish conducting a Bible study class, and I got the call because I was on call for the Catholic priest chaplain who was off at that time, and they called me in to do an exorcism. And I said,
let me stop you there. Exorcism is a very rare and serious thing that the Catholic Church, and you have to go through a lot of hoops to get it approved, to get the people in. It disturbs me a little bit that the boy involved, and this is according to the newspaper and other eyewitnesses, was doing incredible things like walking up walls and things like that. But you yourself never talked to the boy. Why not?
Well, when I went to do the interview at the home with the mother and the grandmother, it was a 4-hour interview. And the first 2 hours were basically just getting information of all the occurrences and phenomena that was surrounding everything leading up to that incident at the emergency room in the hospital.
The problem I'm having with this is, number one, you didn't see the boy. I think the credibility of the Catholic Church is in a tough way now in this country. Exorcism is a very serious thing, very, very serious. I understand you got permission from the bishop in your diocese to do this. But it just seems to me that the story is not solid enough to go public with it. And there are a lot of people watching right now that say this is more mumbo jumbo from the Roman Catholic Church and no credibility here at all. How would you answer that?
Well, the two boys and the girl one was put into a lockdown psychological children's ward, and the other two were taken to the Carmelite sisters who take care of foster children. And so they were taken away from the parents and from the mother and the grandmother, and so I didn't have access to them. And I discovered in the investigation that the mother was also possessed. Mainly at the very end, I put the crucifix on her forehead and she began to convulse.
As a Catholic priest for many years, you believe that there is something unworldly involved with this family. You do believe that? All right, Father.
Howski is with me now. Marissa, good to see you. Let me start with this. After all the interviews you did of independent third-party witnesses and so on, do you believe the story?
It's not my job to believe or disbelieve this story. I will leave that to others.
It's not your job, but what do you think? I'm asking you. I mean, were you persuaded at all?
It's not my job to be persuaded either way. My job is to report the facts as they were told to me and to let people draw their own conclusions, and I wrote it that way deliberately.
Well, let me ask you this. You've got a police captain saying he believes. Did you interview the people who claim to have seen the boy walking backwards up the wall?
I interviewed the registered nurse who witnessed or says he witnessed the boy walking backward up the wall. I did not interview the Department of Child Services caseworker. However, I had her report from that incident.
And did she claim to see it as well?
She claimed to see it as well, yes.
Do you have any reason to doubt their accounts? I mean, as a reporter, you always go in skeptical.
I think they believe it, yes.
Is there any reason that you uncovered to doubt them? In other words, any history of their relationship with the truth, any performance complaints, that kind of thing?
Good question. No, there weren't any sorts of situations that gave me pause. People in credible positions doing typical work, and
he walked up the wall backwards while holding the grandmother's hand. He flipped over and landed on his feet. Those are words written in an official Department of Child Services report on a family who claimed to be possessed by demons. How could a 9-year-old boy walk up a wall backwards? That and other factors made this exorcism case international news when the Indianapolis Star newspaper released a story where more than a dozen interviews with DCS personnel, psychologists, and 3 different police departments spoke to the authenticity of these phenomena. In this video, I will share the details directly from the DCS and police reports, address the merits of what skeptics have said, and more. First, exorcisms have been sensationalized and led many to dismiss them. Dr. Richard Gallagher is a board-certified psychiatrist, a psychoanalyst on the faculty of Columbia University, and a professor of psychiatry at New York Medical. He graduated from Princeton and had a psychiatry residency at Yale. He has this to say about exorcisms.
We all have to be open to considering that there's something more here. And if you just exclude all these people and say, well, they're all psychotic individuals or something, they're never going to get the help they need.
This man is endorsed by a past president of the American Psychiatric Association, and his words speak to the authenticity of demonic possession. Gallagher has spent 25 years assessing patients to rule out psychological disorders prior to recommending exorcisms. Because the grandmother was holding onto his hand, it was possible to walk up the wall backwards. However, I spoke with an engineering professor from Penn State who, using a free body diagram, looked at the forces involved. Depending on the angle, it would require the grandma to exert over 200 newtons of force. However, a study showed that females' maximum standing push force is only 140 newtons, so this points to the supernatural nature of this. Another witness, registered nurse Willie Lee Walker, confirmed he walked up the wall, flipped over her. There's no way he could have done that. They then told the attending doctor, who didn't believe them. Dr. Richardson asked the boy to walk up the wall again. The boy said, "I did not walk up a wall. I cannot walk up a wall." The police asked if the boy ran up the wall as an acrobatic trick. She affirmed no. Less than 24 hours later, her 3 kids were taken into DCS custody. It is noteworthy that her report was dated April 23, 2012, so she had written and signed these details within 4 days of their occurrence. Many at the hospital thought that rather than demons, Ammons could have a mental illness. However, after several psychological evaluations, she was determined to be of sound mind and did not seem to be experiencing symptoms of psychosis or thought disorder. The same was true of the children. No disorders were discovered. As a result of this, a hospital chaplain called Father Michael Maginot and asked him to perform an exorcism. It started in April 2012 when Latoya Ammons and her 3 children, ages 12, 9, and 7, claimed to be possessed by demons. On April 19th, they went to their family physician and stated that the daughter levitated above the bed, that items were being thrown around in their house, and there were voices talking to the children. Their doctor said, "I was scared myself when I walked into the room." Medical staff witnessed the 7-year-old who was lifted and thrown into the wall with nobody touching him. He passed out, 911 was called, and they were taken to the Gary Methodist Hospital campus. DCS Family Case Manager Valerie Washington was assigned to the investigation. The official DCS report states that later that evening, the 9-year-old walked up the wall backwards while holding the grandmother's hand, and he never let go. He flipped over and landed on his feet in front of the grandmother and sat down in the chair. On her report, it says, "I affirm under the penalties for perjury that the foregoing representations are true. The penalty for perjury is jail time, so this speaks to the authenticity of this occurrence." Years later, her account is consistent.
When he did walk up the wall before my eyes, he could not remember doing it 5 minutes afterwards. We had no words to explain it because we didn't understand it either. I worked as a child fatality worker. I investigated children dying. I've seen children in various situations burned, beaten, but after that it was just...
Let's see if we can watch this chemtrail form into her face. There's the plane right there, making the circles in the chemtrail. Let's see what happens. I'm seeing them starting to form. This is crazy. I wonder, could these be what we thought was chemtrails? That I'm wondering if they could be the spirits that CERN released, and they harnessed them, and these so-called planes basically is releasing these souls in the air. This was done after the chemtrail right here. Eyes in the sky, looking from beneath the clouds. So-called chemtrail. I'm beginning to wonder that I'm beginning to think they're not really chemtrails. They're releasing these spirits in planes. Spirits that CERN brought through the CERN machine from another dimension. And they were able to harness these spirits right here. And then release them throughout the air through planes. And basically what we thought they were chemtrails, actually, they are spirits. Wow.
First of all praises to the Father Yahweh, Ba'ashem YAHAWASHI, Ba'ashem Rakadash. Shabbat Shalom to all the brothers and sisters in recognition to observing this day for worshiping the Most High. Sundown this evening to sundown tomorrow evening. Let's get some rest, worship, and praises in to the Most High, my people, because we definitely need to show him that we know he is worthy of such. And plus, because he said that is one of the commandments, keep the Sabbath day holy. Not to do our will, but to do his will and what he says to do. And that's rest and pay homage to the Most High. In these troubling days that we're living in now, we better do it. What we just watched, what is said to have happened back in 2012, for some reason is making a big, presentation now. It's just coming out of nowhere as if it just happened, about a boy in Indiana, Gary, Indiana, I guess, being possessed, walking up a wall backward. And if you guys notice, it wasn't a Linda Blair type. It was one of our own people. You understand? These spirits are running to and fro throughout the earth, and it's getting worse in this day and age right now where we are. It's getting worse. It's not getting any better. We have to know what to do if we were to ever be accosted by this kind of situation. If it's somebody that we know, somebody that's a relative or whatever, you understand, that may fall under the influence of possession by a demon, we have to know what to do. Oftentimes, a crucifix, as the Catholic Church would have it, would be, bring a priest in, like what you were seeing with the priest, the Catholic Church priest, and have them take care of the situation. But they are not the remedy. They're really not. The remedy is YAHAWASHI, and you can do that yourself. You understand? In the name of YAHAWASHI to the Most High, that he may heal you. You understand? Not only of a physical sickness, but a spiritual sickness done by an invading spirit, unclean spirit at that. You understand? So without further ado, let's get into the scriptures and see the examples that YAHAWASHI made of what we are to follow. Okay? If we were ever to be, faced with situations like this. Okay? Now, to start here in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 18, what I want to say is this, people, because a lot of people, whenever faced with things like this, they tend to get fearful, but what you have to remember is, if you abide by what the Most High said to do, you do not have to worry. Okay? Now, Ephesians 5:18 says, and be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit. Okay? This is what we have to do. It says here, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess. Meaning not to overdrink. You can drink, a little bit, but don't overdo it. Don't walk as a drunkard, okay? But be filled with the Spirit, speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord, giving thanks always for all things unto Yahweh and the Father, in the name of Hamashiach Yahawashi. You understand what I mean? The Lord Hamashiach Yahawashi. Submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of Yahweh. This is what we have to do. This is part of putting on that gospel armor. Thereby you can withstand things like this if it were to come up on you. Okay? Now here in Luke 9:36, what we're going to do is start here in 33. And it came to pass. This right here is basically an example of what the Lord Yahawashi did when a man came to him and told him about his son being possessed. And it reads, and it came to pass as they departed from him, Peter said unto Yahawashi, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias, not knowing what he said. Okay? Now, in 34, see, now they were talking about making tabernacles. Peter was, okay, to Yahawashi. But this is what came out of nowhere. While he thus spake, there came a cloud and overshadowed them. And they feared as they entered into the cloud. And there came a voice out of the cloud, saying, This is my beloved Son. Hear him. And when the voice was past, Yahawashi was found alone, and they kept it close, and told no man in those days any of those things which they had seen. And it came to pass that on the next day, when they were come down from the hill, much people met him. And behold, a man of the company cried out, saying, Master, I beseech thee, look upon my son, for he is mine only child, and lo, a spirit taketh him, and he suddenly crieth out, and it teareth him, that he foameth again, and bruising him hardly departed from him. Okay? So his son had became under the influence of a familiar unclean spirit, and it was doing all kinds of Linda Blair stuff to him, tearing him, cutting him from the inside, making him foam at the mouth. You understand what I'm saying? But this is what the Lord Yahawashi done here in 9. We're going to start this at 40. And I besought thy disciples to cast him out, and they could not. And Yahawashi answering said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you and suffer you? Question. Bring thy son hither. And as he was yet a coming, the devil threw him down and tear him. And Yahawashi rebuked the unclean spirit and healed the child and delivered him again to his father. Okay? What is this lesson telling us? What did Yahawashi say to the disciples? He said that they don't have what it boils down to. How long do I have to be with you to tell you what it's all about and what to do? Basically, that's what he's saying, you know? Because they should have known what to do. They don't have the faith. He called them faithless and perverse. You understand? Generations. They don't have the faith. If you don't have that faith, these things that's going to come up on you, it is just not unclean, familiar spirits, demons, but anything else. If you do not have that faith of the size of a grain of mustard seed, and it's not just believing, it's knowing based off of the word and what YAHAWASHI said to do. You have to know it. If he says that's what it is, that's what it is. Okay? Let's continue. And they were all amazed at the mighty power of Yahweh. But while they wondered, everyone at all things what YAHAWASHI did, he said unto his disciples, let these sayings sink down into your ears. For the Son of Man shall be delivered into the hands of men. But they understood not this saying, and it was hid from them, that they perceived it not. And they feared to ask him of that saying. Well, basically he was saying that he's going to be delivered up, you understand, I mean, to these people that was going to crucify him, basically. But they didn't understand that at the time. But the thing is this. Let's read this again in 42. And as he was yet coming, the devil threw him down and tear him. And YAHAWASHI rebuked the unclean spirit and healed the child and delivered him again to his father. When you rebuke a spirit, you don't rebuke it by your own power, and that's most likely probably what these disciples was doing it. You do it in the name of YAHAWASHI, or as most people call him now, Jesus. Okay? You rebuke him in that name right there, because that's the only way that you are going to get that unclean spirit and send him packing on his merry way. You see, if you don't have the faith to do that, then you're going to be taken. That's just what it is. Let's go over here in Matthew 17 and 18. This happened again, but it was with a different man. It was with a different man. Let's read this. It says here, and YAHAWASHI rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Okay? Now to start here, in Matthew 17:15, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic and sore vexed. For oft times he falleth into the fire, and oft into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Okay? He couldn't cure it. Then YAHAWASHI answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? You understand? And how long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither. This is repeating. This is a different one. Yeah. Bring him hither to me. And YAHAWASHI rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Okay? But we've read that, but let's continue here in verse 19. This goes into having the faith of the mustard seed, the grain of a mustard seed. Okay? Then came the disciples to YAHAWASHI apart and said, why could not we cast him out? And YAHAWASHI said unto them, because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit this kind goeth out, howbeit this kind goeth not out, but by prayer and fasting. Okay? That's what it's going to take, people. That's exactly what it's going to take. So basically, this was a precept. Now, this happened again. It happened again, I think it was in Matthew, about the two men that YAHAWASHI healed from these devils, got those demons out of them. And the demons basically, told him, what are you doing here? You come here to torment us before our time. Okay? And to basically, he told him to shut up. He told him, he rebuked him. You understand? And he was going to send him back to where he came from. And they said, suffer us to go into the swine. You understand? They went, he let them win it. He told them to go in there. And they went in there. And those pigs ran off a cliff, killed themselves, and defiled the water. All right, that's basically what it was. But the thing is, what it's all about, people, is not fear, but it's faith. You have to have faith. You have to have faith. If you don't have the faith, if you don't know what the Most High said, you understand? When you are told, you have to know, not just believe, you have to know it's true. Because if you don't have the faith, you are calling the Most High himself a liar. Like, no way, that can't be, that's not true. Okay? And it's not going to work for you, and you will be taken. So if ever you are faced with situations like this, you better cry out in the name of YAHAWASHI. Put him on them demons. Cast them out of your house. Bind them first. And cast them out of your house and order them back to where they belong. You understand? They don't want to go back there. They don't want to go back there. That's all I got on this one, people. I hope you guys found this lesson edifying. I hope I said something to stimulate your spiritual growth. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. All praises to the Father Yahweh by Hashem YAHAWASHI by Hashem Rakadash. People, please remember to live your life as though we're being watched. Simply because we are. This is James, and I'm out. Peace.